Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Celia Romero Garcia.
I'm Philip Engstrom.
I'm Jules Holland.
I'm Gus Martins.
I'm Caroline Keevan.
And this semester, our research has been focusing around investigating the abundance and habitat use of pelagic fishes in the Exuma Sound. The pelagic zone refers to the open ocean. It can range anywhere from 0 to over 1,000 meters. The nature of this environment is very much like a desert, and this is because it lacks shelter and has extremely limited nutrients. The pelagic zone can sometimes have hotspots of activity and other times have absolutely nothing there. But because commercial fisheries are very much aware of where these hotspots of activities are, they can therefore fish for economic fish of interest. However, in the process, they catch fish that they don't intend to, such as pelagic sharks. Bycatch refers to when non-targeted species or species of no economic interest are accidentally caught. Bycatch is a threat to pelagic fishes, but it is the #1 threat to pelagic sharks. One of these reasons is because pelagic sharks co-occur with commercial fish such as tuna. This means that the likelihood that a commercial fishery is fishing for tuna and will accidentally catch a shark that is in the area is extremely high. Managing these sharks is difficult because they are a migratory species. This means that they travel, and when they travel to areas such as the international sea, where commercial fisheries are high in numbers and regulatory laws don't apply, it makes it extremely difficult for us to manage them. Another reason why it's difficult to manage them and help them avoid being exploited is that they have conservative life histories. This means that they have long gestation periods, few offspring, late age at maturity, low reproductive potential, and overall are highly vulnerable to overexploitation. Thus, the objectives of our research is to 1. Determine the abundance of pelagic fishes in the Exuma Sound, and 2. Determine the movement of juvenile silky sharks using satellite tags. This means that we want data that's horizontally, which means where are they staying? Are they staying within the Exuma Sound, or are they going elsewhere?
So we perform all of our research here in the northern Exuma Sound. It's an ideal location because based on where we are at the Yellow Star, all it takes is a 10-minute boat ride to get out to the Pelagic Zone. One of the methods we use is called long lining, which is when you have a series of hooks attached to a long line. This is an example of a commercial long line, where they use several surface buoys along the line to make sure that it stays at a target depth. In the Western Atlantic, that's generally between 35 and 60 meters. They do this so that they can target specific species that they want to catch. Our setup is a bit different. We only use buoys at the ends of our long lines, which allows it to drop down into a U shape. This is good for us because we want to target several different species, and it allows our long line to extend from the surface down to 400 meters deep. We use 3 different sizes of hooks to target different sizes of fishes. We also use 2 different types of leaders. We use wire leader with mullet bait to target sharks, and we use monofilament leader with squid bait to target other fishes. When we deploy our long line, we deploy it for a maximum of 3 hours. This is because previous research has shown that after this series of time, the mortality rate increases dramatically for dusky sharks, a species found in the Exuma Sound and that we expect to catch in our long line. The purposes of long lining include gathering measurements, tagging sharks, and collecting samples, among others. We also want to be able to determine the abundance and eventually the population dynamics of several species in the Exuma Sound and to compare that data to data gathered in other locations and on other species. The way we make this comparison is with a standardized unit of measurement for catch rates called catch per unit effort, or CPUE. CPUE is essentially a way to determine how much you catch based on your effort. You find it by dividing the number of fishes you've caught by the number of hook hours you have. These are our CPUE values for all fishes we've caught, all sharks we've caught, there we go, and all silky sharks we've caught, the most abundantly found species on our long line. They're quite low, but that's to be expected. If we were to put this in terms of number of fishes caught per 1,000 hooks, you'll see that we catch between 1 and 3 fishes per 1,000 hooks. This is the same as commercial long-lining fleets off the southeast coast of the US, who also catch between 1 and 3 fishes per 1,000 hooks. The difference between our operation and theirs is scale. Whereas we use a single mile-long long line, they use several long lines that are dozens of kilometers long and with hundreds of hooks on each line, as opposed to our 72. This creates a lot of bycatch, which in turn threatens many of the species we study. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature, or the IUCN, has created a database called the Red List that evaluates the level of threat presented to a species. The scale runs from least concern to near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, and finally extinct. We're going to be using this scale in our discussion of the species we've caught on the long line. The first species is the oilfish, whose scientific name is Revetus prediosus. We've caught one individual. We weren't quite sure if it was male or female, but we do know that it was a bit over 43 centimeters long. The next species we've caught is the snake mackerel. We caught a female that was a bit larger at just over 70 centimeters long. As you can see, both of these species have dark skin and large eyes. This is because they're vertical migrators, which means that they come up during the night. The dark skin helps them camouflage, and the large eyes helps them see through the dark. We caught both of these species on a night set. Both the oilfish and the snake mackerel are considered least concern globally and in the Western Atlantic because they aren't commonly caught by commercial fishing fleets.
We also caught 2 tiger sharks. They were extremely big, 253 centimeters. It was a pretty exciting day to be out on the boat and actually catch these sharks. It was pretty cool to be able to take measurements and data alongside my advisors. I was really grateful for that. They were massive. They are near threatened globally and near threatened regionally as well. Unfortunately, the next 3 sharks have all experienced over a 70% population decline in the past 50 years. The team caught the Dusky Shark last semester. It was 310 centimeters, which is actually more than double the size of Carl over there. It's pretty big. It's vulnerable globally and endangered regionally. Similarly, the Oceanic Whitetip was caught last semester, but it was only 92 centimeters. It's vulnerable globally and critically endangered regionally. It's also experienced a 95% population decline in the past 50 years. This has been the smallest oceanic whitetip that was caught in the past 10 years of research here at CEI, and this is pretty cool because it means that it was probably born regionally here, and something about the Exuma Sound is making it want to come here. Lastly, we have the Silky Shark, which similarly to the Oceanic Whitetip was extremely small, 114 centimeters as a mean total length, and we've caught 3 of them. They're both vulnerable globally and regionally. The Silky Sharks, all of them that we've caught have been immature and juvenile, and the juvenile age is a critical life stage for all of these Silky Sharks because if they are able to grow up past the size they're at now, then they're able to reproduce and contribute to their population's recovery. This leads to our main question, which is why are all of these juvenile Silky Sharks here in the Exuma Sound? So in order to answer this question, we satellite tagged these Silky Sharks, and this was the smallest Silky Shark that we've caught.
A little bit. Okay. So, in order to tag these sharks, we employ a method of fishing called polyball fishing. The nice thing about polyball fishing is that there's 0 bycatch, and we can target one specific individual. So generally we'll go out on the boat, we'll see possibly a shark on the pad or on a structure in the ocean or just free swimming. We can start chumming for it, which you can see here. We'll put a chum bag down, we'll bring the shark up to the boat or as close as we can get it. From there we can start to put lines in the water. That's either a piece of squid or a piece of mullet. From there, hopefully the shark bites on the line. We can start to quickly work it up to the boat. Once it's within range of the boat or we've tied it out enough to get it close to the boat, we can put a line around its tail called a tail line, as you can see here. And then we can put the shark right next to the boat and do measurements on it. That includes taking tissue samples, blood samples, measurements, and tagging the shark. Because this process is extremely quick, the shark's able to swim away on its own power, and we remove the hook, and from there the shark, as you can see, swims away, and all this process takes about 5 minutes, from capture to release. The tagging method we're using is called a bridle, as you can see here. There's a small hole punctured through the dorsal fin of the shark attached to a tag right here. The tags are attached via a small piece of plastic, pictured here, which will get burned through by a piece of wire after our 8-month deployment time. These tags are collecting 3 types of data: light levels, pressure, and temperature. And from those collections we can gather where the shark is generally, the depth it's at, and what time of day. So far we've tagged 3 sharks. All 3 of them have been immature female silky sharks. We are not hoping to just tag females, but we were intentionally tagging just immature sharks. So far we've gotten 1 tag back. It was gone for 42 days. We were hoping it would be gone for 240 days or 8 months. But nevertheless, we still got a bunch of good data from it. The shark in question, we originally conventionally tagged on the 9th of April in 2018. We then caught it again on the 14th of March 2019 and satellite tagged it. And then the tag popped off on the 25th of April in the northern Exumas where we retrieved it. The tag, pictured here, as you can see, the small plastic piece that I referred to earlier is gone. It was burned through. And the tape in question is keeping a magnet on the tag so it quits transmitting.
So this tag has already given us a lot of really good data. All of where the information we got from the tag was on northern Exuma Sound. So where it was conventionally tagged, where we satellite tagged it, and where the tag popped off, we're all close to each other, which means the shark either stayed here the entire year or left and came back. Either way, that's really important because there's something that making it either want to come back or making it stay here. And even though 42 days doesn't seem like a long time, it's the most movement data ever collected in a silky shark in the Atlantic, so it's still really important. So the Bahamas is actually a shark sanctuary, which means no sharks can be legally fished here, which is awesome because that means they're all protected. But as soon as they leave, they are susceptible to become bycatch for commercial longline fisheries, which is not good. So we want to know where these sharks go. We've seen sharks in the past, like this study done on Oceanic Whitetips. They stayed for a good amount of time in the sanctuary, which is the white, but they also left. And we want to know if this is the case for silkies. So answering this question will provide the data needed to support their conservation here in the Bahamas and elsewhere in the future. This is our literature cited. We would like to thank Brendan, Savannah, Alexa, Juwanza, Eric, and Sam for always supporting us and guiding us through our research. Are there any questions?
How do you get the tags back?
I can speak to that. The question was, how do we get the tags back? These tags, depending on, there's a few things that makes the tag pop off. First off, the tag can burn through the wire will burn through that piece of plastic after 8 months. That's a guarantee. But then, if the shark's eaten, the tag will get sent through the entire shark digestive system and popped out the other side, where it'll float to the surface and we'll get a signal from a satellite, which Brendan will see on his computer, and then we can go out and retrieve the tag, which is exactly what happened with the tag we got back.
So do you believe your shark was consumed, or did it fall off?
The question was, do we believe the shark was consumed or did it fall off? There were some, when we got that tag back, there were some small nicks on the tag, and because there's another thing that can make the tag pop off, and that's if the shark's at a constant depth or within 20 meters of depth for more than 12 hours. But that shows that the shark's dead. So we think the shark was eaten or died and was then eaten.
What about the data of those 42 days? When you get that, when you learn it, what's the process?
So we've sent that tag back to the company that we got it from, and they're going to process that. We've gotten the data from where the tag was when it popped up and then floated into the island. But then once we get that back, it'll show us like a bird's eye view of where the shark was, and it'll show us depth profiles of the dives that was in.
So with the tags, are you not able to watch them on your computer daily or monitor them?
No, so these tags are archival tags, so they keep the data inside of them. And then from there, once we get the tag back, we can keep that, or we can access the data.
Do you ever lose the tag, and what's the accuracy, like, what's the percentage of tags that you get back?
Could you speak up?
Do you ever lose the tag, and what's the percentage of them always coming, like, you always get them?
Have you ever lost a tag? What percentage you get back?
Okay.
Not my specialty.
The question was, do we always get the tags back, and what percentage do we get them back, or do we lose them? We've only put out 3 tags so far. We haven't lost one yet, so I'd say our chances are pretty good. We haven't lost any yet. We're not really sure.